is Bluff. She's very fluffy. Now I have cat fur all over me, but what's new? Hi guys, my name's Julia. Welcome to Book Time. Today I'm going to be doing my TBR for an April readathon called Aussie April, which is being run by Jaclyn from 6 Minutes for Me, who is a lovely Australian woman living in Texas in the United States, and also by Doris from All D Books, both great channels. So I'll leave their announcement videos down below where they outline like their prompts for the readathon. So it's pretty chill, which is nice, and I think the idea is basically just to get more people reading Australian fiction, which obviously as an Aussie I think is awesome. So I'm just going to go through the books I've got to meet the prompts, and there are also, I've got a couple of extra books that aren't like particularly from the prompts, but they're just some. So I just took a phone call in the middle of recording this video, so I'm not sure what I was saying, can't remember, but basically I'm doing my Aussie April TBR list, and the first, sorry, I keep looking down as if I have notes or something here, but I don't have anything. Well, I have some piles of books, but they're not helping me say anything meaningful. So anyway, sorry, just did it again. It's because my books are here. I'm just going to pick them up and then they're not going to be in the way. So the first prompt is a book, an Australian book that's a new release that has been reviewed by someone else on BookTube recently. Now, the book I've chosen is not a new release. It's Jane Rawson's From the Wreck, which is published by Transit Lounge, which is an independent Australian publisher. And this came out here in 2017, so it's only a couple of years old. But I know, I've seen it on YouTube a bit because I know Simon over at Savage Reads really loved it, either last year or the year before. It was like one of his favourite books. And I think it is going to be a new release in the UK, either like this year sometime or late last year. So in that sense, it is a new release. Anyway, I've had this on my shelf for ages. I've been really meaning to read it. From the Wreck tells the remarkable story of George Hills, who survived the sinking of the steamship Admella off the South Australian coast in 1859. So far it sounds kind of like a historical fiction novel. However, haunted by his memories and the disappearance of a fellow survivor, George's fractured life is intertwined with that of a woman from another dimension seeking refuge on Earth. Sounds pretty cool. This is a novel imbued with beauty and feeling, filled both with existential loneliness and a deep awareness that all life is independent. Because when this first came out, it was really popular, like here in Australia, definitely in the literary community and stuff. And Jane Rawson's sort of, you know, she's a well-respected writer, so I really wanted to read it, but I thought it was just a historical fiction about this shipwreck. And then I remember hearing Simon say something about outer space or another dimension, and I was like, what? So anyway, really, really want to get to this, and I'm really happy that the Aussie April Readathon is here because it's such a good excuse to like motivate me to read A, all these books I've owned for ages and haven't read, but B, stuff that I just really, really want to read and will probably enjoy. So that's the first one. The second prompt is an author you've been meaning to read for a long time. So I've got a novel by Kim Scott called Benang from the Heart. So Kim Scott is an Australian author. He's obviously, because it's an Australian readathon, he has written a number of books. This is kind of old now. Let me find it. Publication date. I don't know where it is. Here it is at the very back, 1999, 20 years. Doesn't feel like that long, but it is. So this won the Miles Franklin Literary Award, which is sort of like one of our major. The Stella Prize is probably our biggest, well, definitely is our biggest prize now, which is the prize for women's writing. But the Miles Franklin is for fiction in general. So he won that for this novel. He is also an Indigenous writer, so he's one of the Noongar people from Western Australia. And yeah, I've been meaning to read this for so long. He's so well regarded and his books are just so well reviewed. This one's a bit longer, like it doesn't look that long, but it's pretty dense, and it's like written, I don't really know, but it's written in lots of different kind of formats. There's like letters and paragraphs and all sorts of things. I'll just read a little bit of the blurb. Harley, a man of Noongar ancestry, finds himself at a difficult point in the history of his country, family and self. As the apparently successful outcome of his white grandfather's enthusiastic attempts to isolate and breed the first white man born, he wants to be a failure. But would such failure mean his Noongar ancestors could label him a success? And how can the attempted genocide represented by his family history be told? So it sounds pretty intense, but that's important, and I'm excited to read it, especially because the style sounds really interesting. Oceanic in its rhythms and understanding, brilliant in its use of language and image, moving in its largeness of spirit, narrative scope and style. Benang is a novel of celebration and lament, of beginning and return, tentative and daring. Yeah, and there's a whole bunch of other like superlatives describing the book. So yeah, I really want to get to this, and hopefully I'll let you guys know how it goes. The next two prompts are like the bonus prompts, and the first one is a book by an Indigenous writer. So I've got another one, which is Stan Grant's Talking to My Country. This is a non-fiction book that came out 2016, so a few years ago. Stan Grant is a journalist. He is also a Wiradjuri man. I'll read you the blurb. Talking to My Country is Stan Grant's very personal meditation on race, identity and history. It is that rare and special book that talks to every Australian about their country, what it is, what it could be. Direct, honest and forthright, Stan is talking to us all. He might not have all the answers, but he wants us to keep on asking the questions. Is this the country that we want to have? And how can we be better? So I actually bought this for my husband a few years ago, and he said it was really good, but like intense, which one would expect it to be when talking about issues of race in Australia. So I'm really looking forward to getting to this one as well. And the last prompt is a book. Oh, sorry, I just need some coffee. Okay, the last prompt is a book that's been shortlisted for the Stella Prize. So as I mentioned, the Stella Prize is our biggest prize here in Australia now. It gets a lot of publicity, which is awesome. It's only, I think this will be its 6th or 7th year, started in 2013, and it's for women's writing, so it doesn't have to be fiction, but it's book-length writing, so it's like novel, short stories, essays, non-fiction, memoir, anything, which is really cool. And so different types of books have won in the past. Novels have won. I'm not sure if short stories have won, but definitely, pardon me, like coffee, I think I sculled it too fast. Like the second year, like a history book won, which was really cool. And then, you know, poetry has been shortlisted as well. So the one I've chosen, I'm pretty sure this was either shortlisted, you can tell I've done my research really thoroughly for this video. This was either shortlisted or longlisted in 2013 or 2014. Probably 2013, because it came out in 2012 by Scribe. And it's called Sufficient Grace by Amy Espeseth. And I know Mercy over at Mercy's Bookish Musings really liked this one. And I think she even included it back when she was doing her Mothbox, like the Bookish subscription box, which I was so proud to see like a novel by an Aussie in there. But it sounds really cool. I'll read you the blurb. Ruth and her cousin Naomi live in rural Wisconsin, part of an isolated religious community. The girls' lives are ruled by the rhythms of nature, the harsh winters, the hunting seasons, the harvesting of crops, and their family's belief. Beneath the surface of this closed, frozen world, hidden dangers lurk. Then Ruth learns that Naomi harbours a secret and searches for solace in the mysteries of the natural world. Fawns, migrating birds, the strange fish deep beneath the ice. Can the girls' prayers for deliverance be answered? So it sounds like it might be a bit creepy. Also set in Wisconsin during winter, it sounds like. So in a like very cold place with a bit of a focus on the natural world, which is really nice at the moment because it's just, we're just coming out of like a super hot summer, one of the hottest summers on record, thanks climate change. And but the weather's just turned cold, well, cold by our standards anyway. And it's very grey and rainy, so it might be nice to read something set in like that setting, just while the weather's turned. So they're the 4 books I'm really hoping to get to primarily. If I have extra time, because I'm in the middle of a couple of other books that I hope to finish that aren't by Australian writers, but if I have time, I'd really like to get to Wintering by Chrissy Neen. So you can tell we've done lots of cleaning. I'm being sarcastic. There's like cobwebs all over my book. So Chrissy Neen, this actually doesn't really fit any of the prompts, except she is an author that I've wanted to read for ages. And she has been shortlisted and or longlisted for the Stella Prize before, not for this book, but for other stuff she's written. Also writes literary fiction, and it's really popular. And I actually received this for Christmas from the beautiful Amy over at Amy Polly Reader, because in Australia we did like a little BookTube, like Kris Kringle, and so this was the one I got from her. So I'm really pumped to read it. Thank you, Amy. It's got a really beautiful cover too, so I think that'll be nice. So that's that one. And the other one, which hopefully I'll rip through this one pretty quickly, is Quest of the Sunfish, Escape to the Moon Islands, which is a children's novel, and it was shortlisted for the Readings Children's Prize a few years ago. Again, don't know the dates because I didn't look them up properly or make notes, but yeah, it was very popular, so I really want to read it. It's the first in a trilogy, I think. When Will and Annalie's father disappears, they set out on a perilous sea voyage to find him. With a motley crew of runaways, they have to put their faith in each other and in a small sailing boat called the Sunfish. In a world transformed by a catastrophic flood, they embark on an adventure that will test their ingenuity and their friendship to the limits. So I'm really into like sailing adventure stories, so especially with kids in them. So I think this will be super duper fun. And I saw it at the op shop, like the secondhand shop, for like 50 cents. So bargain as well. So hopefully I'll get through all of those. Who knows, maybe I'll get through even more. I probably won't, because I haven't been reading that much this year so far. If you're reading any Aussie fiction at the moment, to let me know. And hopefully I'll get back to you in a month with some positive reviews of all these books. All right, thanks. Bye.